say that I have to say that, you know, I've known Larry, I've been privileged to know Larry a long time, and I was at the briefs of both of his sons, and I feel like this is the third one. So,
You like to small departments today?
Yeah, so,
Food's a little more sophisticated.
right. Well, Larry talked a lot about this book on our many rides together from Modine to our joint workplace at Haaretz. Dozens, if not hundreds of hours we talked about a million things. He always, as anyone who knows him knows, he always surprised you. And this book came as a surprise because there was a point at which I remember you saying quite definitively, there's not going to be a book. It's just not going to happen. So why don't you tell us, first of all, how long did it take you to write this book, and why? Why were you so adamant about it?
So I started working on the book when I was 40. That was 25 years ago. And I think I started, it was 1991, I turned 40, and it was after the Gulf War, I think, so it seemed like a time, you know, I'd done a few things, Gulf War seemed like a pretty dramatic thing, and so now I'm going to start to write a book. I'm going to try to write a book that, you know, my ideas, my experiences, reportage, this and that. And it took me 23 years. It finally came together rather by a fluke. I tried to, it's too long a story for me to tell you the details and how it worked, but basically it was a gamble. I tried I tried combining 3 different threads that I was trying to write individually, smack them together, and it just worked out. So that's what happened. Why did I write the book? I wrote the book mainly for myself. I always wanted to write a book mainly because I wanted to know the experience of writing a book, because the experience of writing op-eds and features and things like that is really, not so much features, op-eds I really enjoy. And I thought, you know, what might it be like to write something that's just much larger, like with a painting, the difference between a small sketch and a large, you know, complex canvas. So that was that. Also, obviously, I had a political purpose. I wanted to say something. I wanted to explain how I got from somebody who had basically no ideas about Israel to somebody who then came to Israel and became very critical of it and became what we all call a smolani. Yeah. What was that process? How did all that happen between what was going on in my head, what was going on around me, and yeah. And you put all that together, that's why I did not do it for money. That's why.
Glad to hear that.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you hope to influence anybody with this book?
Yeah, I do. I hope to influence. Let's say, liberals. I'm thinking mainly American Jewish liberals, who I think know that what's going on. And I'm sorry. I know there may be some people in here who don't agree with me, who are not leftists. You know, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. God forbid, offend anybody. You know, I'm answering. You know, I'm just answering the question. And I think I hope to influence, if it gets read, if it gets widely enough read, by, let's say, liberals, mainly in the diaspora, I guess, English readers, who feel that there's something, you know, that what's going on here is wrong, but they don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to change it. They don't know how to think about it. They're wishy-washy. They say on the one hand this, on the one hand that, and after both those two hands are taken care of, we're left with the status quo. So on the one hand this, and on the one hand that is not going to get it. And I hope that I can, if the people who read it, maybe a handful of people will say, you know, no, I got to take a very hard stand. You know, more, to use the Hebrew term, you know, chad mashmai, you know, a more forthright stand against the occupation, against the status quo. That's what I hope. And if that happens, that ain't gonna happen, but that's my hope. That's my hope, sure.
Well, after 23 years, the book came out. So one of the ways that you believe that can come about is through BTS. You're a firm supporter of, no, not quite?
I'm a firm supporter of the tactic.
Okay, well that's what I want to get at. You're one of the few people I've ever met who is absolutely in favor of the Jewish state, of two-state solution and of BDS. So you're kind of, and I'm wondering how you are sort of a bedfellow of people who, for the most part, don't want to see any
Right.
Jewish state of any kind.
Yeah. Well, I try not to be a bedfellow. You know, when I wrote in the book, I have problems with the goals of the BDS movement. I mean, the hardcore BDS movement is not in favor of a two-state solution. They just, you know, and they're extremely antagonistic to Israel. And I don't feel comfortable with it. I said I would not join a BDS rally because of all the people who were there. But if you ask me, you know, is a boycott or sanctions or disinvestment, is that a legitimate tactic to use to try to pressure Israel to end the occupation? Of course it is. Of course it's a legitimate tactic. How effective it is, that's another question. But is it a legitimate tactic when Israel is doing what it's doing to boycott? What a boycott was if a boycott was legitimate against South Africa, against the South, against any number of other acts of injustice, why isn't it legitimate against the occupation? So I totally support it as a tactic. What I would like, I wish more two-state people would start. I wish there were, let's say, a two-state wing of the BDS movement. Okay? I wish Meretz, you know, I wish Meretz would say, you know, come out in favor of at least a partial boycott. I wish Meretz would charter a peace boat to break the blockade in Gaza, you know, or Peace Now, or somebody to do that. I'd like to. What is the left doing in Israel? Left isn't doing anything in Israel. If the left were to actually take some actions and make people a little mad, you know, maybe that would, you know, shake up a couple of things, you know. So that's what I'd like to see, a two-state liberal wing of the BDS movement. It doesn't exist. In the meantime, I support it as a tactic. I do not identify with the people in the movement.
Okay. One of the things I find interesting is that you, unlike a lot of left-wingers who favor a boycott of settlements and settlement products, you say no, all of Israel, not just the settlements.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think it's unfair to the settlers. Why should they be singled out? Why should settlers, because most of the settlers moved there for cheap housing. You know, I went to Ariel in 2010, I think it was, when there was that first boycott of the new cultural center there, right? I went out to Ariel. I hadn't been there in a long time. And I saw Ariel is like there's a lot of Russians there. There's a lot of lower middle class people who clearly moved there, you know, for the lower rents. You know, they don't deserve culture, but, you know, rich real estate guys who are making a killing off of the settlements, you know, they can have habima and all that stuff. Why should the people who move to the settlements, you know, for economic reasons, why should they be singled out when God knows how many people in Israel, we're all making money in a sense off the settlements. You know, why should they be singled out? I don't think that's right. So I think that as is often said, you know, well, it was often said at 972, and I agree, that the settlement, that the occupation is not a project of the settlements or the settlers. The occupation is an Israeli project. We're all doing it. We're all part of it. The government's part of it, obviously. The army's part of it, obviously. Industry, the utilities, everything. We're all part of it. Why should the settlers suffer and we not? And as Roy, my friend Roy Isakowitz, if he's here, as he once said, he said that, you know, it's going to take to really force Israel to move. It's going to happen when Israelis can't get visas to fly into Europe. Okay, and when that happens, you know, so let's put the pressure on this. Also, it's a question of effectiveness. You pressure the settlements and you pressure the settlement industry. Who cares? How important are they? You got to pressure Israel as a whole. That's the only thing that's going to be effective. I understand the reason for the people who say, I don't want to boycott all of Israel, just the settlements, because they're pro-Israel and they want to see a two-state solution and they just want to get rid of the occupation. That's a good reason to boycott just the settlements, but it's not effective. It's not effective, and there are also basic, I think, injustices in that approach. So yeah, I favor a boycott of Israel in general, not just the settlements.
And academic as well, including your book?
That's a good question. That's a good question. You know, I mean, what can I say? What can I say? If somebody says, you know, no, we don't want this guy to come because we boycott all of Israel, what I'm going to say? No, take me. What can I say? What can I say?
you know, this kind of, you're brutally honest in your book, as in life, and that not always results in flattering portrayal of yourself in the book, to its credit. And I wonder, were there parts that, first of all, you left out because you just couldn't bear to share those, and were there parts that were hard to write because of that?
Yeah, I mean, there were parts that, yeah, I mean, but you sort of like, so you tell the story of, how you evaded the draft in Vietnam, and how, how I caught a cab, the night of Rabin's assassination. The cab driver, I tell him, so you heard about Rabin? And he says, yeah, it's good they shot me, gave all the money to the Russians, and I didn't punch him out. I didn't even say anything to him. There are moments there that I feel like, yeah, I should have stood up, I should have done more. And yeah, but you know what? The first time you sort of like bare your soul and all that, it becomes easier the second and third time. As far as leaving out anything, I don't think so. The story, I mean, it is a memoir, but it's not a memoir of my whole life. It's a political memoir. It's a memoir of things that happened to me that, that affected me politically, that affected my views. It's not, I left out all sorts of things. I left out the single most dramatic thing that ever happened to me in Israel, okay? I almost got lynched in Jericho, 1994. I swear to God, I almost got lynched in the refugee camp of Jericho. Most dramatic thing that ever happened to me in Israel. But I couldn't fit it. I couldn't find how that helped, how that had a role in developing my ideas. It didn't tell me anything I didn't know, So I couldn't, the only way I could put it in there was just, like Cheap Thrills kind of thing. So I really wanted to put it in, obviously.
You want to tell us now, so?
It's a long, stupid story, but, I was surrounded by it's a long story,
All right.
But,
yeah. So let me bring you back to something else then that happens to you in the West Bank, where you get your taste of being an occupier during your basic training, and you end up dumping a bunch of garbage in the garden of an elderly Palestinian woman who shrieks. Okay, Palestinian woman who shrieks at you. How did that feel, and what were the lessons that you went away with from that?
Lessons.
And how did you even get into such a situation?
It's a long story, but okay. We were at basic training in it's called Bad Arba. It's a training base near Ramallah, and I was just there for a month. I got drafted when I was 37, so it's like out the Cockers unit, So, and the Intifada was going on. This is 1989, and the general in charge of manpower is coming to visit the base. And so for 3 days, all we did, forget training, forget Intifada, all we did was clean. And Robert is here. He was Chayal Mitztayed of the unit. He remembers it well. So all we did was pick up, cigarette butts and clean utensils and things. So there were these, we had to clean, we had to just scour the base. And so there were these big things, made out of wood and metal and plastic that you couldn't just dump in the bin. They had to be dumped outside. So they gave us some driver, some army driver, took me and a Moroccan immigrant, and told us to start picking up all these big things on the base and put them in, and then he'll dump them somewhere. We don't know where. And we drive out, and he stops at the edge of a vegetable garden, He says, dump it over there. I can't, it'll take too long to go into all the details, but at first I didn't realize I was doing something wrong. When the woman came out and started shrieking, I started to realize I was doing something wrong. But the whole point of the story is how at the age of 37, and I'm already a peacenik, I'm already a Meritzville at the age of 37. How is it that I couldn't understand beforehand that dumping garbage at the side of a Palestinian woman's garden is wrong and I should refuse? How can I not understand that I'm supposed to refuse that? And if you want the lesson that even I can be brainwashed, even I can be caught up in this idea that, you know, I'm a new recruit in the Army, I have to do the right thing, I have to go along with the program, I have to be part of the team. You know? That was, you know, and so if we talk, thank you. So if we're talking about 18, yeah, I have a lot of sympathy for 18, 19-year-old boys who go into the Army. You know, because it happened to me. I did this thing when I was 37 and already a peacenik. So what does that say about, you know, recruits? And I guess the lesson is, if that can happen to me, then that's bad. That's really bad, you know. And I did it because I wanted to be a team player, because I wanted to show that, you know, I'm a good soldier and everything. I'll follow orders. I'll do what needs to be done. It's to that extent. That was the lesson. It was wrong. Obviously, it was wrong. I have to, but yeah, the power of the Army, the power of that, wanting to fit in, wanting to make it, wanting to be one of the team, wanting to get the approval of the system, even at that age.
One of the surprising things I discovered in the book was that you had a tete-a-tete with Netanyahu, and more than that he had only praise for you, contrary to what one might expect.
Yeah. Now, I interviewed him in 1992, a couple times in his office. He had just written his book, that big book, Israel, A Place in the Sun, something like that. I was going to do a story from Moment magazine. Anyway, so we're there, it's the second time, and I'm asking him these questions. So what do you feel about this? So what's your stand on that? What's your belief on that? And he keeps saying, read my book, you know. And so finally I said, I did read your book. And he looks at me kind of slightly, did you read it or did you just skim it? I said, no, I read it. And then we keep talking a little bit, and I quoted David Horowitz in one of his books, where he says Netanyahu has this way of, after he's talking to you, he locks on your eyes for 2 seconds and gives you all his attention and all his appreciation and lays it on you to lock up your support. And so at that point, after I told him that, yeah, I read the book, I got my 2 seconds. And Netanyahu looks at me and he says, you know, Larry, I think you understand my vision better than any Israeli journalist. And the lesson from that is this guy is king bullshit. I mean, this guy is a shameless bullshit artist. You know? He'll say that, you know, and I've written about it. It's like, you know, and I said to and I thought about that. I said, you know, what a bullshit lie. What a bad, terrible lie. I said, you know, what kind of people tell really bad lies? Stupid people. Netanyahu obviously is not stupid. So what kind of smart people tell really bad lies? That's people who think that the people they're talking to are stupid. Okay? But I didn't give him any reason to think I mean, you know, I talked to him more or less halfway intelligently. No reason to think I'm really dumb. But that's the way he talks to everybody. He talks down to everybody. He's talking to people like he doesn't respect their intelligence. You know? Yeah, and that's what I took from that little episode. Yeah.
You write about your changing impressions of Israelis since you've come here, how you found over the years that the nastier they've become to Palestinians and Arabs in general, the nicer they've become to each other, these Israeli Jews.
I don't know that. Actually, you know, I don't think they've actually become nastier to Palestinians. They used to be much nastier when the army was in the refugee camps, you know, and when the army was, you know, in every alley, you know, they were a lot worse to the Palestinians than they are now. No, I think it's almost like the two are disconnected. Israel has become deadened to the occupation. It's become callous. It's become numb. It doesn't penetrate our consciousness. 50 years, we're sick and tired of it. We're bored with it, you know? So that's when we become complacent, extremely complacent. What's happened at the same time, I don't know that it's connected. Maybe it is. But at the same time, Israelis, I think, have become much nicer, much friendlier, much happier, much easier, you know. When I came here in '85, you know, it was rough to get through a day. You had these old Sabra types, you know, whacking you around, you know. And now it's not a problem. Israelis have become much more polite. They become much more worldly, much more thoughtful, much more alive. I mean, getting Israelis on a personal level, they changed altogether for the better. And I think that's a function of prosperity and travel and, like I said, air conditioning. I really think that has something to do with it. People, people have money, people have TV. It's not such a pinched, austere. You don't have people, stuck on the buses. It's a happy. People have careers. They have ambition. They have a better life now than they had 30 years ago. All this stuff about the good old days, no, not from my, narrow experience. I think that Israelis are. On a personal level, I think they've really, they're a hell of a lot easier to get along with than they were when I got here. Maybe some of it is me, One of the things is me. When I was here, I didn't know enough people to appreciate Israeli humor. Now, I more or less do, and that's a big part of the Israeli personality that I couldn't get then, but I can get now. But yeah, I think that it's a very interesting, it's one of the things where I disagree with leftists. There's this sort of idea that, that as the occupation deepens and everything, it's like, Israelis on a personal level are becoming more corrupt, more mean, more this one. I absolutely disagree. I think that as the occupation becomes more entrenched, or regardless of the occupation becoming more entrenched, I think Israelis are becoming a lot cooler people. Yeah.
Have a nice day.
What? There you go. Have a nice, exactly. Mashal Kamisuya.
The entrenchment of service culture, Larry.
What?
The entrenchment of service culture in the corporate environments.
That too, yeah.
You have Israeli family that you mentioned quite a bit in the book, whose views are pretty mainstream. And I'm wondering, do they know that you've written this book? Have they read it? Will they flip it?
I have some cousins on Facebook, so they know. I have some cousins who aren't on Facebook, so they don't know.
I guess the video that I'm taking is not going on Facebook now.
Say hi to cousin, what's his name?
Right. Listen, if they know that, no, that's fine. My family is they're really good. I have really good family members, and even if they know what I've written, they won't. Even if they disagree, and I know that some of them will disagree, I won't hear a bad word from it. I won't hear a bad word from it. My family in Israel, they're very cool, very cool.
Okay, sure. So, last thing I want to ask you is, what Israeli leftists have lived with for quite a while now is something that American liberals are feeling. And I'm wondering, as an American and an Israeli, who do you think is in deeper shit?
We are, because Trump can lose. Trump can be beaten. This is a one-time thing. This is Trump after 8 years of Obama. The Democrats can come back. They could come back in 2018. This could be a passing, episode. Here, this has been going on for a very long time, and so far, there's no reason to really believe that it will change. It may change. There's reason to hope that it might change, but let's face it, the odds are against it. And so we're much further up a tree than the Americans.
Okay, on that happy note.
All right. Okay, thanks a million, Lou. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.